Buenas noches, amigos. I'm host Eric. My woman Kimberly is back here, and we're doing a Q&A live stream on function questions and relationships. Kimberly doesn't normally really love it when I live stream, I've noticed. So I thought on this occasion, maybe if I actively include her more in the title and in the process, that she'd more enjoy it. And I also think that there's a fair number of people who probably would like to ask Kimberly some questions as well. I suspect there are some, to get your perspective on things too. So since we're here, it's raining, it's a nice cozy Wednesday evening here in Los Angeles as we continue to get these not unprecedented, but not precedented in the last decade or so, series of storms passing over. By what's known as an atmospheric river. The Hawaii Pineapple Express is one such example of one such weather phenomenon. Anyway, I was reading about that the other day because I'm so stoked about all the rain. Kim and I are both stoked about it. We both really like the weather. Kim talked about how she, for a while, wanted to live in Oregon. You take rain over 5 degrees today. Is that how cold it is where you are? 5 degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius? That's cold. That's cold. Thank God you used the correct measuring unit there.
I don't think it's that cold here. It's just wet.
Very wet. Very wet. The snow is not super low down on the mountains, so that means that it's not a particularly cold storm. It's about 60 degrees right now, which is pretty warm for a dark evening with pouring rain. And Minnesota, huh? You know who else is from Minnesota? Raul Diego. He's from Minneapolis. No, he's from Milwaukee. That's not in Minnesota, huh? Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Never mind. He's not from Minnesota. So, as always, when I set these live streams, it takes a little bit of time for people to join the stream and start asking some questions and such. So, I typically, as I will in this instance, kind of ramble topiclessly or bouncing from idea to idea until somebody starts prompting us some questions or asks questions of Kimberly and I. I think the topic of cognitive functions and relationships is really the most meaningful way to apply this subject at all. I mean, there's two basic applications for cognitive functions: relationships and self-development. The two sometimes go hand in hand, and sometimes
A lot of people also do come in here and talk about their coworkers and employers.
Well, I call those relationships. I mean, when I use the term relationships here broadly, it's not necessarily sexual or romantic relationships. Kimberly has a lot of good understanding about how people get along with each other or don't, regardless of whether it's a romantic relationship. That kind of goes with the territory of tool function FE,
Because I pay attention. Because a lot of people talk to me about their problems. I don't pay attention to you, Eric. Stop.
You are. I didn't say anything.
But you said it like you don't pay attention to me, like you made it.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't saying anything of the sort. What I was gonna.
I don't want to say.
What?
Sheila thinks we have a really bad relationship because
What I was going to simply say was that you're paying attention. You're right, but you're paying attention through the modality of extroverted feeling rather than through the modality of introverted thinking or some other modality, which is why you are more attentive to those kinds of matters than somebody who doesn't have FE as a tool function. That's all I was going to say.
I love you.
I love you too. Kimberly and I have a strange relationship. We have a very strange relationship. It's very Jekyll and Hyde. And
do you think that's cognitive related?
I'm not exactly sure.
Interesting and cute, Cynthia O says.
Oh, thank you, Cynthia O.
Yeah, we were just saying our relationship is very weird.
It's a strange one. It's like we can go from 1 minute fighting very, very seriously and probably both thinking like, this isn't working. Fuck this person. And then like 2 minutes later be perfectly okay and smooching and laughing and stuff.
No, one would say that's volatile though.
But what I keep being confused by is how come I keep feeling in the moment like so strongly these conclusions that are consistently not borne out by experience. In other words, we're still totally together. We're probably more together than we've ever been before. We're not at any risk of breaking up, right?
Right.
And yet I think we both have feelings where we say things to ourselves like, this person is fucking horrible, you know? In some moments, we both do, right?
Yeah.
But then in other moments, we feel very differently. And
I don't know if that's healthy, though.
Well, I mean, it's strange. It's really certainly strange.
I don't think that you and I have ever been in as deep of a relationship with anybody else, though. So I don't know. It's one of those things where we probably ask a very healthy couple. For instance, Sheila.
Polar FI, right? Yeah, I guess that's what it is. It's polar FI in the sense, for me, it's polar FI in the sense that I cannot manage the interactions between feelings that are often conflicting and that exist on different time frames. It's not a conscious function for me. I have no chance of doing that. Just zero chance. So my best hope is to remember not to be tricked by my feelings in the moment, and to remember that this is a temporary thing. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. There's nobody I've ever encountered in my entire life who makes me as angry as this woman has the capacity to make me. I mean, just absolutely fucking livid, furious, ready to fucking break shit, you know? Which is not like me. So, I mean, you might say this is a bad relationship in that regard, but I don't agree anyway. I just think like, well, it's serious stakes. I think we both feel like we have our souls on the line here, and we expect the other one to take things seriously on our terms. And that's where we keep coming into conflict. We both want things on our own terms.
I think that might have a little something to do with the fact that we already had these lives separately of each other. We've already raised children. We're at a point in our life where you and I kind of jumped into our relationship very quickly, and so maybe a lot of the kinks that one would be able to work out would be not living together.
Yeah,
because we have so much history behind us and logistics that it. I mean,
the logistics are pretty good.
But see, one thing that really bothers me is that I don't like the part where we have to work our relationship out in front of your daughter.
Oh.
That bothers me.
Well, I don't like that part either because she's an unreliable variable for me in terms of how she's going to react to things. She doesn't like it. The thing is, she's never seen me so like. She hasn't ever seen me yelling like I yell at Kimberly sometimes. It's a little bit shocking to her system, and I think it bothers her a great deal for some reason. But and I know that yelling at her isn't doing any good. She yells at me too. And
I don't think I yell at you. I think I more just say mean things. I don't think I yell at you. I say cutting things. And so I think that
sometimes you scream your head off. Sometimes.
I do.
Not today. Not yesterday or whenever it was last time we fought.
So the thinker says this is proof that opposites don't actually attract. No, they don't attract.
I don't think Kimberly and I are opposites though.
What kind of opposite?
I mean, but look, there's complementary opposites and then there's conflicting opposites. So
yes, Sheila, but see, I by nature am kind of not an optimistic, positive person. Not by choice. It's just I do. I try to say really positive things, but not in the context of like sentences I've already picked out to say, or like make a conscious effort to say, you know, Eric, you look ravishing today. Like not like that, but more of just try like before I say something to think, okay, what's a better way of saying this so that I don't get myself in trouble? Because I usually just spit out exactly what I'm thinking.
Well, here's the thing. Cynthia O and Sheila W.
Yes, Walter, I agree.
Those things are things that I will tend to say as well. I want Kim to be positive. I want her to be optimistic. I want her to say positive words. I want us to speak kindly and positively towards one another, the general rule of thumb. And to act as though we love each other, you know. The thing is, Kim has a different understanding of what that means than I do. So
no, I know what it means.
No,
I just don't feel comfortable.
I'm trying to play this as fair as possible. I'm just pointing out that your understanding of loving somebody else does not necessarily include a whole lot of words. It includes behaviors, and it also includes a certain amount of teasing and stuff. You know, that doesn't really sit well with me. It's not inherently bad the way you want to express love through making food and taking care of me and stuff. It's just a different kind of communication than I want to have about it, you know? Tell her she's ravishing. I tell her stuff like that all the time. She always shits on it immediately. And she's got me doing this always never thing as well. I used to do that. With anybody, I wouldn't be like, you always me. Yeah, I do it with Kimberly because she does it to me too, and I picked up this habit. Anyway, I tried telling her shit like that.
I know,
but she doesn't buy it.
I've gotten to this understanding of you, whereas you don't really speak my sort of language. And so when you try, it just doesn't sound genuine. It sounds like goofy.
Pure milk. It's an active listening exercise where one person is a speaker and the other only makes reflective or process statements. I mean, I think that's fine. I'd like to do that. Kimberly normally doesn't like discursive solutions like that. And it's a struggle to get her to try out things like that. And I would love to do that, but it's difficult to get those things to go. One of the challenges of being with an SI Dom is their tendency to know in advance of any given thing that happens, to know what and how they want it before it happens, to not be comfortable with the idea of making determinations as the process plays out, right? Just not being very comfortable with the process. I'd say Adrian Bartlett says, keyword act. What's acting? Is it genuine? When I'm saying positive things to her, it's genuine for me in the sense that it's a behavior of loving somebody, as far as I'm concerned. That people who love each other engage in this behavior, because it's what I've experienced in past relationship, at least one of the two, and what I experienced at home. If Kim was sliding down a cliff on one side of her death and the serum to eternal life was sliding on the other side, which one do you save? Well, Kim, because I don't really want the serum for eternal life.
Because any users use many bad words to come to a positive point. The intention is positive, but at least my
IXFJs often mistake those accusations, but I'm still on the way of explaining. Exactly, Walter Wiseman. Exactly. I'm starting down a path, and often it will start sounding bad because I'm using that. I'm using that to my advantage. I'm saying, here's something that sounds bad, but I'm going to reveal slowly that actually, no, this is a good thing, and you're going to like what I end up saying here. And it's a trust building exercise, but they won't allow you to get past the fucking step one to engage in that process. They'll know in advance that you're up to no damn good and shut your ass down and not let the process play out. And it's extraordinarily frustrating. M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong. Let's see. That's how they train us in counseling schools. One other class I started doing with his wife, and apparently they work wonders. I mean, I'd like to try it. I'd love to try it. The thing is, it's not Kim's fault or my fault the way that we have conflict. It's really what whomever up here said. You both have Walter Wiseman said, you both have probably very well established SI rules. It takes some time to get accustomed to the new way of living together. And it is taking a lot of time. We've been together now almost 2 years, and we spend a lot of time together too. That's possible, Cynthia. We do spend too much time together. I should probably go get more work, and then I'm more busy, and Kim would be more positioned by circumstance to like do her own thing without worrying about me so much and stuff like that. Kim, what is your ideal day with Eric?
Just my ideal is to be able to function in my everyday like we do. I mean, you and I kind of just flow together with our day.
I mean, that's the thing. If you ask us when we're in a positive mood how our relationship is, I think we both say, you'd say no?
To cosmic pentastars.
Oh, sex marathon? No.
That would be Eric's.
That would not be mine. But I think you can't correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like what you're saying is that usually when we have good days, then that's really what you're looking for in a day anyway.
Ideal day, yeah, with you.
Today was a pretty good day.
Yeah.
I had a pretty good day today. I had a fun time going to my parents' house. I don't always, but today it was nice. It was SI gratifying. I really started to sort of feel positive feelings towards the end of the meal with my parents and about just like life in general and like the comfort and familiarity of home and all that stuff. I think any user should practice friendlier FE wording and ISFJs more patience. Yeah, I could. This is the thing: is when Kim is very successful at pushing my buttons, so she will bait me with some mean words or something. I need to rise above the bait, and say, okay, look, she's hungry or she's whatever, and
I'm pretty quick. Yeah. Why do you think she baits? Well, I think when Kim has negative emotions, she takes it out on me this way. I don't know. Why do you bait me like that? I don't know.
Like the other day when I woke up from the nap, right? You baited me 3 times. It was on the third one when I took the bait. The first couple of them I tried not to. Like, the first thing he said was, like, well, you don't even thank me for lunch or something like that. And then the second thing was, I don't even remember, some other weird little attack. Yeah, explain why. She says she doesn't know. What do you buttons do you think?
I think I push buttons because I get resentful.
Right. I mean, I have resentments too. You know, it's like, I don't feel like, obviously, we probably both feel like this, but I don't feel like I've done anything to engender these resentments. I think that they're...
No, if I'm upset, I want him to understand why, and so I guess it's the start of a conversation of something that's been bothering me, and then he gets upset about it.
Resentful of what?
Well, like, if you and I made plans to go do something, and you'll be like, okay, well, I'm gonna help you clean the house, and then I'm gonna go in and take a bath, and then I'm gonna get ready to go, and we'll go to my parents. This is just an example. And so I'll be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go get started on the house. So when you come in, it would be great if you could help me out. And then you'll come into the house, and 10 minutes later, you'll make it to the bedroom. And then you'll lay. No, this is an example. And then you'll go and you'll be like, I have a headache. And like, yeah, it is kind of like today.
That was today.
Okay,
you're describing today.
No, but I'm not even talking about today. I'm saying.
I know you're saying it's a general rule, but that's actually not true. I'm very.
You're not even letting me finish.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden you'll go lay on the bed or something.
I didn't feel good today. I told you that.
I'm saying this is not just today.
I know. I'm saying it's not. You're describing today accurately. You're not describing any sort of general rule about me accurately. I do help clean up a lot.
I know you do, but what I'm saying is when I get resentful, it's usually over something you've said you'll do, and then you just bypass it like it's not something that's part of my plan of the day, and then you get mad at me, and I'll be like, well, you said you would do this, or you said you would do that, and then...
Okay, but look, the thing is, you're always trying to assign me tasks. I've got my own tasks to do. You know? And it's like, I don't assign you tasks. I don't mind doing some of those tasks, but you... No, that's my bad. That's my bad. I'm not very good at it. I'm getting better at it, but I could still be a lot better at...
following through.
Well, no, not making promises, I guess.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, this is the thing. I don't get any credit for all the things that I help with. I just get resentment when I don't help. But meanwhile, I'm not asking you to do anything for me, and when I do ask you to do things for me, it's a fucking battle.
Okay, well, I guess because I feel like with the house and stuff, that I don't feel like, sometimes I just feel like people think that they're doing me favors by helping me out around the house. And I think, well, why are they doing me a favor? We all live here and we should all contribute. It's not my job.
Okay, I'm not
how nice of people to help me. I'm the one who worked out of the home, and
I'm not talking about basic cleaning up chores. I agree that we share those.
These are things that, like... But
I do share those with you. I mean, not evenly exactly, but there's lots of things I do additionally.
I know you are. What I'm saying is I don't get, hey, thank yous for doing the laundry, or hey, thank yous for sweeping the floor. Like, I don't expect that. That's just part of keeping up a household, and I feel like everybody should contribute who lives here. I don't care, who's paying more of the rent or who works more or whatever.
Okay, I think but you keep ignoring what I'm saying. Okay. I do chip in around here. Plenty.
Right, Adrian? I know.
You're not listening to me. So I'm saying I do chip in quite a bit. I could chip in a little bit more in terms of the housework, but is that really what you get resentful for? Because it's not.
But no, not just that. I get resentful over other little things. And so what I'm saying is, if I don't feel like if I clearly got to express how upset I get about something, if I didn't totally work it out, then I get resentful, and then I start to say mean things. But it's a symptom of things that are still bothering me about things that you annoyed me about. That's my example.
Okay.
He's great at vacuuming. We both hate doing dishes, but...
Yeah, I do a lot of the vacuuming. I mean, the thing is, I also help with a lot of other things, like putting that stuff up in the attic and and hanging this thing here and moving those things around there and all that kind of shit. So, I mean,
I'm not saying that you don't, just if you do a lot of things that are very helpful. I remember when you first moved in, it was one of those things where I wanted my partner to move into my home with me and understand that what's mine was theirs, but that I wanted them to have a comfort level to that as well. And then at the same time, embrace living there. And if you see something that needs to be picked up or fixed or whatever, then you just do it. And I love that about you. Like, you'll grab the vacuum out just randomly without me saying anything, and you'll clean cobwebs. And like, I love that.
Well, good. I'm happy. And the thing is, I think my point in general is that
who said that, professional victim, that duels aren't supposed to argue?
maybe I'll get to that in a second. My pushing buttons in this case being FE shortcuts, since my ISTJ mother needs time to explain and discuss more than I, who spitfires my NES, so sometimes taking a walk helps.
Yes.
I mean, it's really difficult for us to communicate effectively if I'm upset about something, especially. But nowadays, if she's upset about something either, it's difficult to communicate. Because I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, I'm not having any more critiques of Eric until Kim starts taking ownership of some shit. And she's not especially habituated to that. So, you know, there's this issue where it's like, no matter what we're fighting about, the fighting is really about who's going to win and who's going to have the power for this particular exchange or something like that. And the thing is, every once in a while I'll win one, but then if I do, Kim will spit a bunch of spiteful shit later on in the day.
Because sometimes I think that you're winning and losing, and you know, sometimes I feel like you pull our arguments into a debate thing and equivalencies and all this, like equivalent, like you did this to me, so I find me doing it, and I just think,
Kim, why do these arguments start? You say some bullshit. You say some sentence that's complete bullshit. Like, your behavior is very erratic, Eric. Like you said yesterday in the car at the funeral. And I was like, no, you're just trying to gaslight me. It ain't erratic about shit, but you should check with other people. No, that's bullshit to say that stuff. You know that's bullshit. So I mean, what am I supposed to do? You sit there and nod? Oh, I guess it is.
I wasn't the one who said it.
Yeah, you were.
Well, I was repeating it.
Okay, well, see, then this is the problem as well. If you're convincing Delilah that my behavior is erratic,
wait, no.
Well, who else would you be talking about?
That's who I'm talking about, but I never said to her, your dad's
but
erratic.
Kim,
she said that to me.
Okay, Kim, listen.
She said that to me.
Okay, so let's say I am, quote unquote, erratic. First of all, that's insane, because that would imply that somehow my behavior is degenerating into a lack of, making me somehow more volatile and less predictable than I used to be. Okay, well, but it's wrong. But even if it weren't wrong, no, listen. See, these are the sort of things that have to be addressed directly.
Why don't you address it to the person who said
because
it?
When you said it to me yesterday in the car, you didn't say it as a quote. You said it as your own opinion.
Well, because I agreed with
her. So the thing is, you did agree with her. That's the problem. It's complete bullshit. Okay. And to believe that and assert it and expect me to take it seriously is to attempt to gaslight me. So, you know, it's like I have no choice but to respond to that. And then when I start responding, you don't like my response. Why? Because I'm telling you that's bullshit and you shouldn't do that. Not only is it not correct, but it's not okay for you to do that to your partner. And when I say shit like that, there we go. It's throw down fucking battle. But it's the truth, and it's something that needs to be accepted by both parties and agreed about. You know, agreement is the way of communication progress, and fighting back against me all the time instead of working with me is the way of.
You always say, you need to listen to me and you need to agree with me. And I said, I'm listening to you. I hear you loud and clear. I just don't agree with you. And that's not allowed to you.
I mean, Kim, the thing is, you're of course allowed to disagree with me, but my point is, if you are functioning as a teammate, we're looking for things to agree about. We're looking for things to agree about, not continually pushing back on no matter what I say. And it seriously, it'll be like, if I say, you're resentful towards me, she'll say, no, I'm not. If I say, you're not resentful towards me, you're just acting that way, she'll say, yes, I am. I mean, it doesn't matter. She'll just push back no matter what I say. So, and she'll explain to me it's because of my tongue. But the problem is, I'm not the one who initiated this with an unacceptable line of discourse to begin with, like, your behavior is erratic. Why is my behavior erratic? Because I'm not putting up with this bullshit? No, that's not erratic. That's appropriate.
Boom, 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 boom. See,
I don't know, you guys.
Taylor's a good mediator because, you know, he's not always nice to me either. Like, he'll say it like it is.
Well, so do I. Is there any truth to the J and P dichotomy that is judging as being a planned day and proceeding going with the flow? Well, I mean, Kim's a perceiver. She starts with SI, not with FE, but it's true that she bears a lot of similarities to a judger because her NE's in the fourth slot, so she's resistant towards unpredictable possibilities and the need for improvisation. I don't know if I can do that, Taylor. My competitive spirit takes over. It's the bottom line is Kimberly and I are in an ongoing kind of power struggle that we're trying to work out, basically, and it's not easy, because we're both used to being in charge of our own shit, and when you're in a relationship, it's about compromise, and it's additionally about sometimes conflicting values. On some of these issues, I think my values are fundamentally basically superior. That is to say, I want a healthy, good relationship where people talk kindly and lovingly to each other. And Kimberly, sometimes it seems, does not, although I'm sure she actually does. But we just have different ideas of what that is to a certain extent. Kimberly, do you think you and I have a different idea of what a good relationship is?
Yes.
Where do you think the differences lie?
Somewhere in between.
And can you describe what?
I just don't think that you're as great of a relationship partner as you claim to be. I think you have a lot of work too. And I always feel like you come to me with this superiority of, your relationships were wonderful because you grew up in this charmed childhood. But the thing is I think everybody has some sort of damage in their when they're being raised in their home. I don't think anybody has this charmed lacked in your family of some sort. So
there really weren't anything that lacked in my family. No, that's incorrect. I really was loved that much. I was loved like you love the cats.
Okay. Okay, so maybe I didn't mean that. What I mean is that you also.
I'm not saying that, Taylor. Go ahead, Kim. Sorry.
Yeah, I felt like you came into this relationship with, all of our problems have to be from your past.
That's
because
not true.
I came to this undamaged.
That's not true. I've never said that.
That's the impression that I get when you talk to me, that like I should listen to you because you know the path, when I'm thinking a lot of times you don't always know the
path. But what am I advocating for? Actually, what am I actually advocating for? Positivity, mutual positivity, mutual optimism,
right?
Kind, affirming words towards one another,
right?
And treating each other with respect.
Yeah, but I don't think you calling me a dumb bitch is respectful. So what I'm saying is
Kim, you're right.
It goes for both of us.
You're right. That's not respectful. But you have to. It's like the context matters not at all to you. The thing is, you have to remember how that fight came about and everything, and why we got there. And you baited the fuck out of me.
What I'm saying is it doesn't matter. If you want to talk positive words, it doesn't just mean that you get a pass.
Okay, it doesn't mean I get a pass. You're right. But see, this is the difference. I'm agreeing with you. I shouldn't have said that to you. Okay? That's correct. You're right. That was my bad. And this is how good communication is done. I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't have done that. I apologize. It's not a good thing for people who are in a loving relationship to do to one another.
Right.
Now, the problem is there's never, almost as close to never as I can possibly say never towards, an equivalent kind of response from her towards anything that I point out that she's done wrong.
Really?
Yeah. Really. Can you give me an example of the contrary?
There's been many times where I've said I want to be different, or I've acknowledged certain things. So to say always and never again.
Okay, that's my bad. That's my bad. No, it wouldn't. It wasn't okay. It wasn't. But why do you have to be right and I don't have to be right? And I'm like, because you want a shitty steaming pile of shit for a relationship, and I want a happy relationship. You dumb bitch. That's what I said. Was it advisable? No. Do I regret it? Yes. Was it my fault? Yes. Should I be held to account for it? Yes. Am I being held to account for it? Yes. Am I acknowledging it? Yes. Did I apologize? Yes. All those things are absolutely great things and great examples that we should all do in relationships. That's true. That's my point. You just had an example right there, Tatum. The language I used in that fight was not okay. I shouldn't use name calling it ever. But I sometimes get so, like I said at the beginning, earlier, she's really capable of making me fucking furious. Like I've never been furious at anybody before.
Yes, Taylor, I think you would.
So, if Kim hits you, can you hit her back? We don't hit each other. Yes, GAC, you're bullshit. Vamos, Messi, Inglés, Pecho Frio. I don't know what that means. Let's go. Messi, English, Pecho Frio. Once you apologize or forgiven, you really have to let it lie in the past and not throw it back. Well, I understand that as well. I believe that to be the case, that the language one uses in terms of apologies and stuff is hugely important, and that
Kimberly gets to go to work.
Okay. Kimberly's going to prepare her son's hair. People have a hard time distinguishing between SI and NI. Intuition isn't necessarily about having visualization powers, more about strategy. Could you elucidate? Yes, I could elucidate. So, like, SI is just a link to personal experience in terms of as a source of ideation for any and as a means of knowing. So up in the stack, you're going to know first from your personal experience what to expect in any given situation. You find equivalencies to things. And I'll get to your question in a second, Cynthia. And it's a way of trying to make the universe predictable and familiar. And it's like an SI-DOM doesn't like unexpected stuff because that's how they know. NI-DOMs know through different means. They know through the specifics of what happened. So in that regard, NI is simply a representational kind of knowledge, whereas SI is more of a physical or literal kind of knowledge. Let's see. What is it that makes you so angry, Eric? Is it you feel disrespected or unappreciated or what? I feel treated unfairly. I feel like unappreciated sometimes, and I feel most of all, I feel in my ability to solve any problems because of the communication barriers that she puts up, which are substantial. And so it's like she's making it difficult for me to use my tool function anytime that I'm trying to address anything that's a relationship matter. And that's really fucking frustrating. Because, of course, everybody naturally uses their tool function. If I can't use TI to discuss her, wait, hold on a second, Kim. That's not fair what you just said. That's bullshit because of yeah. Then I'm being fucking having my legs cut off. And it won't stand. It hasn't been standing for a while now. And she's sort of trying to recognize that a little bit. It's just, she's going to have to lose some of these bad habits. And I've told her this for a long time, Anyways, it's starting to work a little bit. Taylor, sorry for enjoying that so much. Or enjoying what? I don't know what you're talking about. Do you think NI can be best described as the ability to synthesize patterns? It's not so much synthesize patterns. Well, I mean, it's a matter. It's a kind of memory that is specific to meanings and symbols rather than to, if you think about experience being high resolution and abstractions being low resolution, which is to say the actual thing is a lot more bandwidth to process than is the symbolic representation of it. Obviously, if you're going to have shit that's just a sort of a rough outline icon of an image, then it's only going to take up a little bit of a memory or a little bit of drive space. And if you have something that's got a lot of colors and depth and it's a huge picture and stuff, then it's going to take up a lot of drive space. And that's basically kind of the difference between NI and SI is NI does the symbolic representations of things that are small and low resolution, and SI does high resolution things. Now that's going to play out well for in communications between people. NI there is going to therefore is going to seem sort of smarter. It's not necessarily, but it's going to seem that way because they're more naturally accustomed to knowing via symbolic representations than by experience. All right, so let's see. I look defeated. I mean, I don't feel defeated. I feel sometimes embattled. Yeah, sure, Sheila, in that regard, exacerbated, yeah, defeated in the sense of just throwing up your hands like will she ever understand me? Well, it's not even a matter of will she ever understand me, it's will she ever trust me enough to listen to me? Because she understands just fine. Taylor's right that she's using her tool function to frustrate mine. You could put those there if you want, Jordan. I might get to it. I don't know. The SI about physical familiarity and SC about physical adaptability, generally speaking. SI is about your resources that you have already. SE is about resources that you don't have yet. It may be a better way to put it. I call it a progress when having to look defeated. You need to feel defeated from time to time with their ego in check. Yeah, well, I mean, Kimberly definitely does a good job of that. There's lots of things in which Kimberly and I are a great match, and we work really well. I think we work well in general on videos. Every time she's here and making videos with me, and she's not really making videos with me, she just chimes in occasionally. It's perfect, she definitely keeps my ego in check. Like, it's one of the issues that we have is I feel generally disrespected by her, and she's trying to work on that kind of stuff. I think she's just. Thank you, Jason. That is a good suggestion. It's a really good suggestion. Best suggestion I've heard all night. It's like it certainly is a test for me. So I've gotten a lot better about not taking her bait. I've gotten a lot of things have changed dramatically about how we interact. Like I no longer feel any need to fight about it right now. I can always put it off till later. I always know that she's not ever going to want to talk about it. So I sometimes just put it off later because I don't feel like talking about it right now either or whatever. But, you know, it's difficult for me not to get the sense that as instances of unfairness pile up or narratives are still on the flow that I have not gotten her to agree or knocked over yet. In other words, she still says these narratives are still standing even though they're bullshit. That it's like I have to restore equilibrium there and make sure that we have the right narratives on the flow. She doesn't want to work with me. She's consistently oppositional about anything where there's any kind of dispute or disagreement between us. And that's a really, really difficult reality to deal with when you're in a relationship and you don't have a teammate. And basically, I don't have a teammate in that regard. In other regards, I do, but not in that regard. I will. Of course, I have to be careful too and not complain about her bad behavior too much, because then it's like, you know, I'm just sort of presenting this narrative that you're not okay the way you are and you need to, after a certain amount of time that I complain about shit. But, you know, it's like I'm always responding to specific things she says. And what I would be well served to do is remember that she's not a woman who really means what she says very much. You know, it's like she gets lost in her emotions in the moment and just says shit that's intended to hurt. But see, that's the other thing is that's something that I've never experienced in a romantic relationship really before, or in a family relationship in some way. Is this that's okay? You know, you don't intentionally say harmful words to the other person. She does, and you know, it makes me want to fucking school the shit out of her. It's like, that's not okay. What the fuck are you doing? Is there a way to help ground her when her emotions are strong or erratic? I mean, that's the sort of question I need to ask myself more often and try to be practical about these things. It's lemon diesel, huh? Nice. This is popcorn, I think, or whatever else was in here. I don't know. Is there any practical advantage to having that big torch with a just taping piece? There's a huge practical advantage to this torch. And the huge, most important practical advantage to it is I can't fit it in my pocket. So it doesn't leave my desk out here. And rarely it does it. And as a consequence, I always have a lighter out here. If I don't have the torch out here, then, you know, half of the time no lighter. Now I gotta go scrounge around for a lighter. And yeah, well, a lot of detached awareness, like recognizing what it is, recognizing it as not really an attack. I mean, it is an attack, but it's like she's sort of lashing out, you know, not because she really believes whatever it is she's saying, but because these are words that she wants to do harm with, I guess. And so the point is, I just have to kind of recognize it for what it is, and I don't know. It's like normally you want to make somebody feel bad if they're behaving badly because you hope it will dissuade them from behaving badly again. But if the person you're dealing with is already somewhat prone to feeling bad about themselves, then that's part of the problem in the first place. And it may not be useful. I mean, no, she does need to stop. But well, I'm talking the cosmic pentastar. I'm just talking about what I consider to be sort of like the rules of acceptable warfare between people in a relationship, and things you're allowed to say and things you're not allowed to say. And you know, I do cross those lines sometimes, and I certainly did. Usually with name calling. See, name calling I see is the least hurtful of the wrong things you can do because it's just name calling. It's not like well, I mean, if I'm not then what am I? The one to be victimized, Judy Den? Or to leave? Or what? Because I mean that's the basic issue here is there are certain boundaries that you have to set to have a healthy relationship. To be a healthy relationship partner, you have to set some boundaries, and that's what I'm trying to do here. I also do value her a great deal. It's like, you know, I've been with her for a long time now, and I think we're an excellent match in a lot of ways. I just think that she needs to trust me. It's as simple as it is. She needs to trust me, and she doesn't know how to trust, basically. So I don't know. In what ways have you seen INFPs using the 8 slot TI? I watched part of a little bit of a video today about a guy who self-identified as an INFP interviewing an INTP about INTP stuff. Okay, well, Cynthia, I agree. It's serious, but the kind of name calling depends, right? As to what, like, for example, if I were to have said, you're a fat bitch, I would agree with you. That would be a much more serious sort of thing. That would be below the belt attacking, right? Because she might have issues about her weight or something. Or there's lots of other kind of names that I might call her that would be below the belt, that would not be okay at all. And then there are these kind of names that are just general things expressing like, I render you worthy of foul words, but they aren't as specific to their person at all, and they're not a personal attack at all. So I would say stupid bitch qualifies as that. It's still not okay, but it's not what you say there, attacking your partner's very being. That's if it's personalized. Okay, well, look, trust may be earned, but if you distrust your partner so much that you're continuing to foster distrust with your behavior between the two of you, then something needs to be done about it. I'm not saying I'm trying to take a shortcut. I'm saying that the only way I can be deserving of trust, frankly, is if I set reasonable boundaries and make sure that we're engaged in healthy relationship behavior. Right. Well, I try to make it about that too, Becky. I try to say, like, let's describe each other's behaviors that we're complaining about. The first real breakthrough I had with Kimberly was on that very issue, where I successfully got her pinned down into where I had her talk for a while about all the things that I was doing wrong. And during that whole conversation, what I was doing wrong was not any of my behaviors. What was she talking about? She was just talking about why I was a bad person and just character attacks and stuff. And so at the end of the conversation, after I let her speak for quite some time, I said, okay, so which of those things are my behaviors? And, none of them were. So she got some progress out of that. But, what do you need to get over these issues? Why do you feel responsible for Kim's behavior? I mean, I feel responsible for my own. I feel responsible for my own territory, so to speak. I don't feel responsible for Kim's behavior towards people other than me. I'm saying I don't want to accept being treated like this. And that most people would agree with me that being treated like this is not acceptable. But I also value her a lot and don't want to leave. Aaron asks, I feel you completely. Aaron says, I dated a girl with BPD in college about my worst behavior, and I eventually ended things. I have to be careful about mirroring other people's chaos because frustration eventually wears down my agreeable side. Also, I might be rather physically aggressed upon and verbally insulted. Yeah, I would probably too. It wouldn't bother me as much if you were... although it would. I mean, the thing is, she knows she can't win those arguments. And she tried, like, throwing something at me one time, and I was like, that's not acceptable. And so... I will try that, Becky. It's a good suggestion. Becky says that you tried posing the question, what do you really want to tell me right now? What do you really want me to know? I'm on your team. I'm not against you. I say I'm on your team. I'm not against you all the time. And I say you need to be on my team. I say work with me, not against me. I say listen to me before responding. Maybe that's what's happening there. I don't know. We're experiencing old wounds and perceiving it as a today thing. Yeah. I mean, I think Kimberly's tried to express to me, and I think she successfully has expressed to me, how much she values me and how much she appreciates me. But, it's a difficult reality. What do you think about immature INFPs? What can you do to make them behave more independently? Well, I don't really know. I mean, I think the thing about INFPs is they're probably quite receptive to somebody with good TE describing for them a certain path to follow and even assisting with their SE and walking that path. They've got very, like, INFPs would respond well to tiger parents, like Chinese tiger moms and stuff who are always putting their kids and everything. And yeah. All right, let me look up here and see what else we got. If she's calling out behavior you don't even engage in, she can agree that when calm, it sounds to me like she's re-experiencing, she's probably not even realizing the amount of energy that's SI. Probably not. You're probably right about that, Becky. BPDs often can comorbid with PTSD. Has she identified any triggers that may be causing her to react the way she does? Maybe Eric, Kim just wants you to concede all points at times without being dismissive at all. Basically, yeah. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, one thing I find really interesting is that she finds it so difficult to believe that I didn't experience trauma at home when I was growing up. She really doesn't believe me. She insists I must have, which is odd. But it's telling in some sense of SI, right? Her own personal experience was so defined by that she can't conceive of knowing a reality that it wasn't defined by that. And as a matter of fact, I was never subject to any sort of abuse, neglect, trauma of any sort in my family. You know, yes, my parents fought a couple of times that I remember. They were kind of like dramatic fights, and I was little or something, but they sort of stopped fighting by the time I was in middle school. And I mean, I was just super well cared for and loved, and tried to be, my parents tried to, you know, be authoritative without being authoritarian. And I was encouraged to voice my opinions. And if I won arguments, they generally concede my point or whatever, you know, and we all, yeah, it's like I describe it. And Kim just thinks it strains credibility or something, but it's how it was. And I'm sure other people who had perfectly happy childhoods at home as well. I'm not undamaged because I was damaged somewhat in the world. I was damaged by being bullied somewhat, and I was damaged in my relationships as a young adult and stuff. But I wasn't damaged by my parents or at home at all. Let's see. I can understand where Kim is coming from. I find it difficult to conceive of a completely happy childhood. My childhood wasn't completely happy. I'm just saying I didn't experience any trauma at home. You know, we were all, it was a generation where we were all set loose out into the world, a bunch of unsupervised kids running around like Lord of the Flies. So, you know, I remember lots of crazy, weird shit from childhood that one might think of as traumatizing for sure. But there were never any adults around when that shit happened. My child didn't have a damage-free childhood, but it was, again, bullying. It was middle school. She had a rough middle school, but she had a much better high school. And, you know, she seems to come out pretty undamaged overall. So we can probably discuss which types would be seen as most damaged to certain types. Please make a video, lol. Well, I mean, the thing about that is ISFJs do a good job of not displaying their damage, you know, in non-intimate relationships. So I had good reason to think that Kimberly was pretty undamaged, or at least displayed pretty undamaged when I first got with her. It took me a while to realize that, you know, what seemed like a couple of stubborn instances early on would turn into a pattern of a failure to, I saw it, a failure to be accountable as a general rule, or apologize or admit when they're wrong or something like that. You know, I didn't understand how big of a deal that would turn out to be. That's the core to communication. It's constructive rather than oppositional. Constructive conversations are places where people attempt to find things to agree with each other on. Even if they don't agree or see eye to eye, they're working with the other person and trusting the other person enough to think that, you know, it's safe to lose some points, you know, that the other person wants, that you're on the same team. So, yes, I saw Dave's Superpowers new video where he talks about me. I thought it was interesting. It's good FE. You know, his response was, oh, well, Eric just talking about all these different possibilities. That's not true. That's not true. I'm talking about exactly why he's wrong, and I'm talking about a very specific alternative to it that is preferable. So he tried to sort of position it as something else, but whatever. It was still pretty good FE. Made me smile. I never felt particularly oppositional to him. I don't care if he's wrong. No skin off my back. Let's see. Horizontal conversation versus vertical. What is that referring to? Oh, you're talking about oppositional versus constructive conversations, constructive fighting. You know, it's like the best thing I could possibly do, actually, to get Kimberly to work with me some and listen to me some, is to find videos where people talk about that kind of shit. Like, where they go, okay, here's how you argue constructively as a couple. If she hears from somebody else, she'll take it a lot more seriously than she hears it from me. It's not a sex thing. Yeah, it's a sex thing too. I want to have a lot more sex than she does. She feels as though, um, like she feels as though she needs to be in the mood to begin with, and then that's when we can have sex. And I'm like, Kim, there's a process here. You don't. The moment I touch you, you don't have to already know for sure that you do or don't want to have sex, right? You know, give me a few minutes. We'll see what we can do, you know. But she's very like, but I'm not in the mood. She just sort of like slapped my hand away, and it gets frustrating. And it's very much not at all like it was in my last relationship. I mean, night and day. The last relationship was just blowjobs on demand, you know, and whatever, you know, not just that, but I'm just saying it was like whatever Eric wants whenever he wants it, and that was all well and good. She was an ESFJ. If I was happy, she was happy. Nonviolent communication. I'd have to look at it into it. I get the general gist of it. I think it's probably has to do with how you talk about things you're mad about or something. So yeah, that's an issue too. Sex is an issue too. But and the biggest issue by far is communication and learning to talk with each other. Are you both from? Well, Kim's not out here at the moment. She had to go cut her son's hair. Splitting. I think BPD can't be overcome without that being recognized. Splitting. I'm not sure what that is. Let me look it up real quick. BPD splitting. Oh yeah, I have read about that in all or nothing terms. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a challenge for sure. It's a challenge. I'm actually very fortunate because I think Kim is Heather Bryant. That's the sort of shit she would say too, and I can try that. But at a certain point, it's like, okay, why is this becoming this intricate dance of prepping Kim for hours ahead of time? It's like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. You know, enough with the unnecessary fussiness. This is no big deal. We just fucking pound it out. Let's go. Well, I mean, the other thing is, I'm not a fucking saint, you know, and there's a certain amount of burden to be carried in just dealing with what I consider to be unacceptable communication habits about certain things. It's already generating a certain amount of frustration, and then when I hear these like complicated demands for having sex, it's just like, okay, fuck off. You know, you're just not even, you're not working with me. You're trying to have everything on your terms and put all the fucking burden on me. Well, Becky O'Coin says that she's not capable of calming herself, certainly not capable of learning the right rational way to argue. Yeah. I should just go like hug her and kiss her and stuff when she's upset. It's basically the best thing I could do. Rick Benson does always get the poon no matter what rain or shine. That's true, Curtis. But, you know, Kimberly doesn't like Rick Benson or his identical twin brother, Darren. Well, Darren's Yeah, Darren basically talks exactly the same as Rick Benson. But Darren, the difference is Darren is a professional masseuse who's always getting in trouble for having sex with his lady masseuse people, clients. And so he has to read a little thing out loud to him before he gives them a massage. Hello, Miss Lee. My name's Darren, and I just want you to know that I've been asked to read this disclaimer. I will not do any inappropriate touching while massaging you, and I'm sorry if I did anything like that in the past. I know that you're just here for a massage. I got it now, okay? We fought on mushrooms. Kim and I took a bunch of mushrooms one day, and we fought on them. It was weird. We fought and laughed at the same time. It was one of the weirder trips I've ever had. So strange. If you can believe that, that's absolutely what happened. We fought on mushrooms. We fought for hours on them. It's like I just want her to fucking agree with me. And I want to fucking pound my words into her head until she does, because I'm saying things that make sense and she's saying complete fucking nonsense. It makes me so mad. Like, you just said X. Now you just say not X. You've got to agree that that's fucking crazy. Yeah, I know. I just got to do it. What Sheila says is absolutely correct. I've tried it on a couple of occasions. It works fine. It works great. I just got to remember to do it and not take her words seriously and just go do that. So, I mean, there's the solution if I'm looking for any solvency. This is supposed to be about what I know about relationships, this Q&A, you guys, okay? Because I'm an expert. You're supposed to be asking me about how to have good relationships, because I'm an expert and I know how to have good relationships. Instead, you're helping me with my bad relationship. That's not how it's supposed to go. Don't try to reason with someone when they're upset. Focus on calming them down first. That's a good suggestion. It's hard because, you know, I get upset too. I'm not immune to being upset. Because I'm not trying to convince her. I want her to agree with me. There's a difference. Agreement shows cooperation and we're on the same team. It doesn't require conviction. Yeah, we could do some XC together. That'd be nice. Sheila W., you're a smart lady giving good advice here. You got a lasting marriage. That's impressive these days, this day and age. My last relationship lasted over 10 years, but didn't make it to 20. Let's see. Why can't you agree first, Eric? Kim probably thinks. Because she's saying bullshit. I'm not going to agree that squirrels fly in the water. She says, well, you're not the gauge of all knowing. You're right. I'm not the gauge of all knowing. But the fact that I have to argue with you about whether squirrels fly in the water just proves how much you're just oppositional to me. You just won't agree on anything. If I say the sky is blue, you go, no, it's not. If I say, well, then it's not blue, you go, yes, it is. It's ridiculous. Anything and everything if we're engaged in any kind of conflict or dispute. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that MDMA is an excellent mediation communication tool. Well, here's see if we get some Molly. You want to roll? Want to roll on Molly with me, Kimberly? I mean, the thing is, Yeah, Judy Jen, it's a better approach. That's the best approach. MBTI stuff isn't really relevant, I don't think, here, because look, I was raised by an ISFJ mom from whom I learned my understanding of things, and I have an ISFJ oldest friend, Dave, who I've known since I was like 3 years old, and he also is not like that, and so it's not ISFJ's, it's Kimberly's anxious avoidant attachment style. And, it drives me crazy because it gets in the way. I wish she were here to speak about that too. And hopefully she'll come back after she cuts her son's hair, which she's probably done with by now. I've never done DMT, so I don't know what DMT is like. I have done Molly before, or MDMA or ecstasy, as we used to call it, ecstasy. And I did it like 4 or 5 times. One time I got real good, strong ecstasy, and it was quite an experience. It was fun. No, Kim does not do well introspecting. She just frets over shit. I want Kim to be like, to do some sort of general mindfulness exercises with me and stuff. But I've never seen anybody quite so closed off to suggestion. So it's like, if I say, imagine yourself in a calm place, and she's not doing it. Even if she'll agree to lie there and do it, and she has once, I think it's just distrust. She doesn't trust anybody. She doesn't trust me. Yeah, just dismissive. And she doesn't trust processes, She doesn't trust processes. There's no outside help to be gotten. Look, I understand it more clearly than any outside help would. It's true that she doesn't listen to me, and it's true that I should find videos that say the same things I'm saying, and that works pretty well. And it's true when she hears third parties say it does a better job, but I'm not going to go find some professional because it's silly. She's a 6'8", 4". Yeah, DC or 13, I believe what you're saying there. She doesn't trust herself to be able to heal in the event something external were to betray her. You don't agree with that, Cosmic Pentastar? Can one meditate on SI, nostalgia-driven meditation? No, SI-style meditation is normally like taking a bath and sleeping and being cozy and being comfortable and maybe stretching and stuff like that. Like yoga would be kind of an SI-style meditation, I guess. NI style is more like what I was trying to do with her, but she has 8 slot, but it's kind of a frightened 8 slot. Yeah, she does like nature. She likes to go fishing with me. We like going fishing. We'll probably go fishing again. A lot of people, Curtis would say she's a counterphobic 6. I'm not sure if I know what that counterphobic shit is, but she's an 8 in the tri-type too. Kim's okay. Kim's fine. Kim's tough as fuck. That's the thing. It's like, I very rarely see her be actually vulnerable. I'm actually vulnerable way more frequently than she is. No, we didn't get into a fight. She had to go back inside to cut her son's hair. I forgot that her son was coming over to get her hair cut. Yeah. Okay, Thecla A. I will manage my expectations for change. And I have a good strategy in place if I can just remember to use it and not be mad myself. If I just physically display affection and verbally doesn't hurt too, but then then things go well. Well, Buddy 7, he elf. What types avoid vulnerability to the utmost and never appear vulnerable? It's not a type thing. It's an attachment style thing. So I got no problem displaying vulnerability, even though I'm an ENTP, and you might imagine myself to be a type that doesn't display vulnerability. ESTPs, for example, are types that you might imagine don't display vulnerability. It's not true. In fact, ESTPs, depending on what you're tuning into, display a certain continual vulnerability about them. And I suspect the ENTPs do as well. Whereas like an ISFP or somebody who's a feeler and a sensor like that, like ESFP, ISFP, they might hide their vulnerability more effectively because they're more conscious and willful about their emotions. No, I don't find it hard to express emotions and affection at all. Kimberly doesn't seem to take them seriously when I do. I tell her I love her all the time. I tell her I find she's my precious, perfect angel and all these other little things that I say. And she typically shits on it. Whenever I say something nice like that, she'll shit on it. She'll say something negative about it. So, at a certain point, I started getting mad about that and calling her out on it. Did you see that Dave Superpowers loves you? I saw that video, yeah. Okay, well, I mean, it's like, how long do I have to be with her before her walls come down? I mean, that's the thing, is they're sort of coming down, but all this battling I'm doing is not helping, and I need to be more outcome oriented with the whole thing. I'll try to. Well, she said that I only have one emotion, I just push it around. So in other words, when I'm talking to the cats and telling them I love them, I talk the same way that when I'm talking to Kimberly and I tell her that I love her. And she doesn't like that for some reason. I don't know why. Well, look, I mean, I don't get vulnerable that easy or that frequently, but there are times when I'm looking to get through to her, and I'm so frustrated, and it's just like I just get emotional, So I don't know. I don't see it as the funny thing is I don't really see it as me being more vulnerable than she is. I see it as her being way more vulnerable than me because she can't display it, Yeah, ISFJ 8-3. What's the CP for? I don't know what that is. 6. All ISFJs I know don't believe compliments. I write them down sometimes in a letter or something, and I found they respond better that way. Well, regardless, I've got myself a person here whom is in some ways perfect for me. In a lot of ways. Like, I've got a really great life situation here. I love the home we live in. I love the SFJ-ish shit that she does. I love her cooperation in the videos. There's a lot of stuff I like, It's just she doesn't handle stressors well in general. And she doesn't handle criticism at all. So that's frustrating for me because sometimes I'm going to have to correct and sometimes I'm going to have to be corrected. And part of the deal is, you get to correct me and I got to be cool about it when you're right, because likewise. So after a certain amount of being cool about it when you're right, if then no likewise, then it gets unbearable when you're an ENTP. You just go, okay, this is not fair. And you have to be fair. That's the only thing you have to be, is fair. I lead with this all the time. The thing that I appreciate about her. No. I don't lead about it. But I mean, I come back to it frequently enough. I try to manage the narrative a lot. So basically, I'll go, okay, let's try again. Let's try to build some positive narratives. And I start to build them up. And then she starts shitting on them again. And I go, man, you're shitting on them again. Scold, 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 scold. And then I go, okay, let's try to build some more positive narratives. If I can repeat. It's like I need her to cooperate with me in the building the positive narratives part. And she's not doing it. I don't believe in subtypes. I mean, everything can be explained by MBTI type and, or, you know, cognitive function type and plus Enneagram. I mean, I'm not right all the time. Although she accuses me of trying to be right all the time. I don't claim to be right all the time. And I try, in fact, as a habit with my relationship partners, I try to find ways in which I can say, you're right about this, and I agree with you because it's part of the process as far as I'm concerned. So it's not just her ego, it's her fear. She believes she isn't worth much, and she fears that if she were to acknowledge when I'm right and her flaws and what she's doing wrong, that somehow I would value her less. And instead she tries to turn it on me and make it about me and what I'm doing, but I'm not doing anything. Yes, it is my tone. That's true. That's a problem. It's like she's always telling me it's my tone, the way I say things. But it's, you know, I mean, but that's after the fight's already started. You know? Okay, well, but I'm asking her for the same basic courtesy of occasionally wanting your partner to have the win, right? Like, I don't want to win every fight with her at all. I want it to be us to both feel like we're getting the win sometimes if we have to have a win-loss situation, and for situations to be win-win whenever possible. Okay, well, I could do a better job of understanding why she might feel a certain way. That's true. But again, all these sort of things are things that I try expecting her to follow my lead in this dance, right? Like, here's a positive dance away from this negative thing. Let's begin it. Here we go. Step 1, step 2. You guys are saying like, try this dance, try that dance, try this dance. Fucking, I've tried them all. The problem is a lack of teamwork. I have no teammate. She's not cooperating with me in the dances. Right. I mean, I agree with you, Becky. I agree that's true. That her worth and our teamness is never in question. And, oh, Curtis, you and your whiteboards. If you ever say, I can understand how you feel, I could probably say it more frequently. I don't know if I do. Remind her what the argument isn't before deciding what it is. Eric, would you think it would be helpful for both you and Kim if Kim did this type of Q&A session? Well, this is what it's supposed to be, but I forgot she had a client in the middle of it. So, okay, there's some questions here. Okay, so what is it? Where was this question? It was a long time back. I remember wanting to ask it to you. When,
looks like I'm gonna have to go back on this, huh?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Chaotic. What?
Okay. I don't remember the question. There was a good question sometime back about what. I don't know. So Kim's back. If you guys want to ask any questions of Kim, I've obviously been talking while she's been gone. So Sheila used to do hair too.
Oh, you did.
So, yeah, this is kind of like group therapy for our relationship.
I didn't get a choice.
If it's fear, she's insecure. That's why she reacts the way she does. She doesn't like your tone. She thinks you're trying to be Mr. Expert Eric all the time. Is insecure about being valued. Do you think maybe you bring some of that debate mentality into the relationship, maybe not for the better? Yeah, I mean, it's a fair criticism. But I think that it ignores the fact that I try to work constructively first. And then if I'm not being allowed to work constructively, then I start insisting that, okay, well, first I have to defeat this opponent and then maybe we can work constructively, which is probably not wise on my part.
And that's what annoys me immediately.
The Cosmic said what you really wanted to say. What is it? I don't know. Oh, you think maybe that,
she's insecure.
No, this part. Do you bring debate in?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe she. What are the things that you? There's a question back here. I'm still looking for it. Judy asked why I feel responsible for Kim's behavior, which I thought was an interesting question. Let's see.
Yes, Becky, it's the delivery that annoys me.
Oh.
I left right there.
Okay, so it's shortly thereafter. I don't know where it was. Have you tried posing the question, what do you really want to tell me right now? What do you really want me to know? I'm on your team. I'm not against you, which I thought was a good suggestion, but it's not what I want to do. Have you identified any triggers that cause you to be negative to me?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, your loud voice.
My loud voice. Okay. Well, I don't know where that question was. Let me go back down to the bottom and see what new questions are here, if any. Kimberly, when are you going to admit that your husband is an intellect and knows more than you? Thanks, professional victim. That's very helpful. It's really very helpful. Our reactions are our responsibility regardless how we perceive the delivery. Well, I agree with you. My reactions are my responsibility for sure. Relationship arguments are not the same as more clear-cut debates or different priorities, ideally, but I think that much is obvious. Yeah, I would hope we have different priorities in a relationship argument. Tone is hard to control. When she's mad, she makes it clear to me in her tone and her words. And look at that enormous worm.
Oh my God! Where did that come from?
I don't know where it came from. Kim doesn't really like to be on camera. Afsal Ahmed. There she is, though. Is this cigarette weed? No, this cigarette is a cigarette. But I am going to smoke weed. There's a worm that we saw walking around.
That's a pretty enormous worm.
It's a good one. We should save it for bread.
Yeah, we will.
So let's see here. So I will smoke some weed for you, though, since we're talking about it. It'll help you to understand the importance of truth and justice.
I know I'm gross.
No, it's a concrete floor in the middle of the garage, which is why it's weird that we got this big ass worm crawling along. Is Kim stubborn when emotional?
Hey.
A little bit. A little bit. This is top shelf hybrid pop. Which means I don't know exactly what strain it is, but it's some sort of hybrid.
I would have had an emotional connection to it as well, but I like to spoil my chicken.
Boy, does Kim love that chicken, let me tell you.
Yeah, my chicken absolutely loves worms, and I absolutely love my chicken.
We both love that chicken. It's a good chicken. Yeah, I'm stubborn when emotional too. If I'm really mad at Kim, I can be very stubborn. I have to always. One thing that I realized early on was, like, it's frustrating for me a bit is I don't ever get to be the pessimist in the relationship. I don't ever get to be the one who goes, this is really hard, and she goes, oh, come on, we're meant to be together. It's going to go the other way around every time. That's because early on it's like I'd say, oh yeah, well then yeah, and she'll go, oh yeah, well then I'll blow up the world, and I'll go, okay, well then never mind. I guess let's not play tit for tat. Neither of us likes being forced or pressured into things. You know, we want to be able to make our own choices and our own informed choices, and sometimes that can be frustrating because I want Kim to give a little bit more attention to considering something as a possibility, and you know, she doesn't necessarily want to give it a lot more of her attention.
She needs that, Sheila. I have a badge around here somewhere, but I can't find it. And I have a sewing machine too, but I don't know how to use it.
It's not a bad idea, Curtis.
I am a real firecracker.
I'm insecure about my own tertiary TI, so I can feel bullied when exposed to people's stronger TI. It's my problem to solve, though. I never seek debates.
Oh, I do.
Sounds like my mom. I don't know what type she is. When she's mad, there's no talking to her. I cannot reason with her until she completely cools off. Well, MGTOW says, love isn't real. Why do people need to be in relationships? This is a joke. Well, I'm a lot happier now than I was when I was single.
We try little vacations. We don't really have, well, since we're self-employed, it's really hard to get any lengthy time to go on vacation. So we go on little getaways here and there.
That's just my garage. And the tools. Yeah, we have a video from the other week where you want me to move it so you're out of the picture? Mm-hmm. Move it, Kim? Yeah. Kim's a hairdresser, and that means that she puts little outfits on hairs. So, and you know, we have a studio for her to do her hair work in, a salon, I mean, that's what it's called. And she works from home here. What can't we refute, MGTOW? I want to know what it is that people cannot refute about MGTOW. 58% divorce rates. I've been divorced twice, but I didn't have to pay anything in either of them. So whatever, they didn't work out. You know, I wanted to have a kid. That generally requires a woman, and you know, ideally, you want to have a woman that you're going to be able to keep the kids with. I have one kid. Kim has one kid. We don't have a kid together though. My kid lives with us. Her name is Delilah. She's 20 years old, and Kim's kid, Colin, lived with us briefly when I first moved in until he moved out. Pedos filled with corruption, bullying, war, poverty, depression, abuse. What are you talking about? What are all those things? How did Kim know that you're the one? How did Kim know that I'm the one?
You told me.
Did you believe me?
No.
Do you think I'm the one now?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you.
I said I'd marry you.
Yeah, well, it depends when you ask those questions, I guess, as to what.
Yeah, thanks, Cynthia O. Ask him again.
You mentioned that Kim wants to get married soon, so you keep stalling, so what's up with that? Well, we're not really ready to financially, you know. It's not a good time to do it. And additionally, it's kind of not a good time because we're dealing with my mom declining health and stuff, and it's just, and there's tax issues. Like we're not necessarily going to be better off if we combine our taxes and stuff like that. So, I mean, I personally don't think there's any particular purpose to getting married versus, I mean, I feel as committed as I would if I were married. It makes no difference to me, but it does make a difference to Kimberly. So yeah, Kim is a sweet person. She's a good lady. And I didn't, you know, it's like this conversation in this video tonight is me sort of complaining some or saying, what do we do about this sort of thing? But the reality is I'm pretty goddamn happy. I'm more fulfilled now than I've ever been before, for sure. And is it easy? No. Do we fight some? Yeah. But, you know, I feel like this conversation, people here tonight helped me a lot.
I feel ugly tonight. My hair's up in a weird bun, and I'm dressed for comfort today. I just don't look very presentable. Thanks.
The difference between being married and single. I mean, yeah, I don't. Why does Kim make a difference to you, Kim?
Why does what?
Jake asks, why does marriage make a difference to you? By the way, Kim, your hair is cool and you're cool. He also says.
Thank you. Marriage is important to me because I think our kids are, 20 and 21, and pretty soon, 6 years from now, they will be having their own children, and Eric and I will be grandparents together. And I just want to start out as grandma and grandpa and, just kind of seal it for our kids and our grandkids.
Yeah, I know. I do think that having grandkids is something we'll both enjoy a lot. And I think we're both looking forward to that. This is the thing. Cameron and I have so many common understandings of what we want in life. And we're the same age, same demographics. A lot of things are really lined up perfectly for us. We even got kids the same age. And, both of our kids are doing very well. We've got, we're lucky. We've got kids who don't have any problems. My daughter somehow turned out to be not addictive, really. I don't know how she pulled that one off. Delilah has a prescription for Adderall, but she barely ever takes it. So is there a traditional tie to your desire for marriage, Kim?
A traditional tie? No. Both of my dad has been married 4 times and still pretty unhappy. My mom is a single woman with a companion she's been with for 20 years. So no, I don't have any tradition. It's just more of, I think for me, I just want to be married to Eric.
Well, I want to be married to you too, Kimberly. I'm sorry. One of the things that Kimberly says that she doesn't
that's
like.
right. Cosmic pedestal. That's exactly right.
One of the things that we have plenty of it. Don't get me wrong. We have sex multiple times a week, and not as much as I want to have it, maybe, but usually around twice a week or something. So it's not like it's.
Don't jump the gun. He already proposed to me a year and a half ago.
Yeah. My mom and fiance have been together for 6 years now, and they're still not married, and they're still fiancés. See, makes it simpler. He says. Being a fiance is like being all the good parts of being married without any of the legal paperwork. I meant more like the concept of marriage as a tradition rather than experiencing the tradition of marriage. So, like what you said, I think there would be an even more traditional. Like, why is it that I guess she's trying to get at what is it about the institution of marriage that you feel is more significant or permanent than being fiance?
I want to take on your name. So yeah, maybe it is a traditional thing. That would be traditional reason, right?
Right. Yeah, marriage by the state. I mean, look, I agree with you, endocrine junkie, but it's whatever. And I don't agree with you, ENTP mastermind, because of what endocrine junkie says. Marriage is a government thing.
I have a really cute engagement ring. Let's see.
So it's not really a religious thing at all. It's a government thing.
My little vintage ring. I mean, my big vintage
Becky
ring.
says that you want to wear your pride of Eric and what you two have. Is that what that means? She says.
What's it again?
Becky asks, I think that means you want to wear your pride of Eric and what you two have.
Yeah.
That's nice to hear. I appreciate that, Kim. If one of you were in the hospital and the other or dying, it'd be easier for the other to visit for married. Yes, there's that true. That's true. I know atheists that are married. I know plenty. My parents are atheists that are married. Being married and being an atheist are not exclusive of each other.
Thank you. I love it. We both picked it out together. It was a lot of fun.
MGTOW is kind of pathetic. Well, it's. I mean, to the extent that that's true, then it's mean to say. MGTOW, you do not really rather die alone. You're just being bitter. Gangster bling, yeah. Woohoo, lovely ring. It's an antique. It's like
it's a vintage. What
Art Deco.
Art Deco, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Basically, a bunch of morons who got fooled by some gold diggers and other paranoid. There are circumstances certainly where the legal system is unfairly skewed against males, and I object to those instances. And for those who get particularly screwed by it, I'm sorry for the injustice you have faced.
Yeah.
Have endured.
You and I went into this pretty equivalent.
Yeah. I'm with my now married husband for 8 years before we got married. We're atheists and we dig each other the most. You agree with MGTOW that avoiding relationships is a good thing? Well, look, I don't think that you necessarily have to have a partner to be happy in life. It depends what your self-understanding is, what your priorities are.
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted nothing more than to just be a mom and be married. And then there was a time when I was single where I was desperate to be in a new relationship because I wanted more kids. And then when I tried out dating and it didn't work, I took off about 7 to 10 years of dating at all. Even though I really, really, really wanted a relationship, my priorities were my son. So even though my priority was to be married, I did take time off to be a better mom rather than be selfish and date and.
Curtis, it's funny. MGTOW sounds like an Indian tribe that died off. The MGTOW Indians, residents of northern New Mexico, what is now northern New Mexico, made their homes in cliffside caves, hunting desert lizards by daytime. Okay, well, MGTOW stands for men going their own way, and it's this thing that says basically, it's the He-Man Woman Hatings Club. They're like, we don't need your goddamn relationships, women. You're just a drain on us financially. You expect all this shit, and then you cheat on us, and then you divorce us and take all our money, and it's an absolute travesty. And there is nothing good about the way that human sexuality is set up right now, where alpha males get all the poon they want, and beta males are left to try to be white knights for women who don't respect or appreciate them, and then yeah. Have I got it down pretty good, MGTOW? It's often good for people. The thing is, that's true for some people, and it's bullshit when it is true. Okay, well, look, I don't like that argument either, really. I think it's denying MGTOW any legitimacy of their arguments by virtue of who they are, which is a fallacy. I think it's fair to make the argument that there are people who are involuntarily celibate, more or less. It's self-defeating, really, to call yourself that, because it implies that there's nothing you can do about it. So that's kind of bullshit. But typical white knight that women step on and use like a fool. Well, I mean, Kimberly and I use each other to both hopefully to our mutual benefits, you know. I use certain things that she provides me, like food making and homekeeping and laundry doing, and she provides things that she uses things that I provide her, like, you know, financial stuff, and also helping with projects that she has to do, and yeah. I mean, we both benefit. It's a good. I'm not going into this relationship or any relationship eyes closed. I understand that there's a bargain implicit in it. It's a business relationship of a sort. Obviously, it's nice if both parties feel a lot of emotional attachment to each other. Then that's called being in love, you know. But regardless, it's a bargain. The alpha is driven to impress the beta. The better the beta, the better the alpha. I don't understand exactly. I mean, I guess that you know, to a certain extent, if you want to be an alpha male, it means you've got some sort of leadership stuff, I guess. I don't know. I don't really consider myself an alpha male. I don't really consider alpha beta male distinction to be very meaningful, because it's really a description of how people relate to each other within a group. Alpha male of a group of males, for example, would make sense, but in general, it's a general like attribute. It doesn't really make sense. Well, I mean, look, the thing to remember, MGTOW, is this: you're coming in with a philosophy that's fundamentally negationary towards certain kinds of experience. And you're saying individuals are fools to engage in this kind of consensual relationship. But nobody's saying you have to. To classify that kind of consensual relationship in general as bad or undesirable is to ignore evidence from people like me who say, well, I don't find it bad or undesirable. I think it's a fair deal. You know, I think I'm getting a fair deal out of it. I think she is too. I think it's mutually beneficial. I'd rather be in this relationship than not in a relationship, and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to just ignore everything that people actually having the experience who are having a positive one are saying, then you can maintain your negative narrative. But why would you want to ignore all that evidence? I mean, nope's a good word to ignore evidence with, but it doesn't answer the question why you want to ignore all that evidence. Who cares who marries? I'm just saying marriage favors more women than men. I'm just warning, just saying. Yes, I've tried shatter. Yeah, I had a platter before. It was a sort of manual low-tech platter where you heat it with a torch. And then it's not very cost-effective, frankly. According to whom? I don't, like I said, I don't self-identify as alpha male. You want there definitely exists in the animal kingdom, though, regardless of whether the wolves theory was disproved, because you can see it in chickens, among other species. What's fake? MGTOW? Alpha, beta? If something needed to be killed, he would do what men do. What, the alpha male, you mean? That's how you tell if somebody's an alpha male, is that they would kill something that needs to be killed. I killed a chicken that needed to be killed. But I think the man in general in the couple would be responsible for that. Like, you have to put down a chicken like I did because it was really sick and it was not getting better. Obviously, I think in most couples, the male is going to do that job. I wouldn't want Kim to have to do it because I know it would bother her a lot, and she'd remember it vividly, and it would be a big deal. And it wasn't a big deal at all, really, for me. Oh, well, I will run away like squealing like a little girl because Kim won't let me kill anything. Like, there's no way Kim would freak out if I killed a possum, for example.
I love possum, and I think they're cute. I love skunks, and I think they're cute. I love mice. I think they're cute. I think birds are cute. I think they're all cute.
Well, it's really old-fashioned to think that. Sheila butchers her own animals.
I don't think I could butcher my own. However, as a little girl, I stayed on a farm 3 weeks every summer and witnessed it. And it was interesting to me. I just don't think it's for me.
Becky says, do you guys eat chicken at home? And I say, not anymore. We used to until we got red. Now we can't eat chicken anymore. So I've said in the past, we are not allowed to get a pig or a cow as a pet. I still eat it when we go out or whatever. Hello from Brazil.
Hi,
Pietro Spinardi. Thank you, Endocrine Junkie, who says, this is a cool channel. Host Eric, love the laid back, accepting yet questioning attitude. I want a micro pig. Yeah, I kind of want a pig too. I don't. But I not if it means we don't eat bacon anymore. Hell no.
Oh, Sheila, I'm so jealous.
Right, the pig doesn't know. The pig doesn't know that you're eating his fellows. Pigs probably join in. Like chickens will eat chicken.
Pigs are cute. They are. But kids to me are like, pigs are like little children. They're fun for a little while, but then you want to send them back to their parents.
Yeah, these dudes who are like male feminists, who are like, mean masculinists, who constantly preach the red pill and fight this fake war against feminists. And I hate radical feminists who do the same. Yeah, it's all bullshit. It's all for like FI kicks. They do it to get some sort of juice out of it. I'd go for the pig if you can litter train them. Can you?
Yes.
You can?
Yeah.
You read of a dude who ate his own foot with friends. Becky, that's gross. That's horrible and gross. Apparently it was great. That's horrible and disgusting and unimaginable. Pigs are vicious. He had to have it amputated. So he didn't cut it off on purpose. He just...
Ew. So
I'm surprised they let him have it to eat it.
yeah, I mean, if it had to be amputated, isn't that because it had gangrene or some weird thing? Ew.
What's going on? Comical cowboy? Oh, you mean people get upset about the pig? You can Google it. There were pictures. What's bullcrap? What's bullcrap? It's the stuff that comes out of a bull's butt. Yeah, so what happens is cows, like other animals, when they eat food, they don't digest all of it into nutrition. Some of it is waste product and it comes out of the butt. That's what we call bull crap. Those are bullshit, bull poo, bull feces, cow excrement, cow patties, and another number of equivalent examples of nomenclature. They got 4 stomachs. Good for them. It's 3 too many. You only need 1. You know what their problem is? They eat grass. That's why they need 4 stomachs.
Several cows.
It's not very digestible is why. That's why you shouldn't eat grass. You should eat meat. Delicious flesh of beast.
I was around goats being slaughtered and sheep being slaughtered and rabbits being slaughtered and deer being slaughtered and turkeys being slaughtered and yeah, all of it.
Baby seals.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, humanely slaughtered baby seals. You know, we have to get the baby ones because they're the most tender. It's like veal. It's the veal of seal. Seal veal is baby seal meat.
Ew.
And it's absolutely delicious. You know, seals are incredibly abundant too. Do you know how many seals there are in the Antarctic? Let's see. What's the population of seals in the Antarctic? How many seals live in Antarctica? Let's see. Let me try. Hold on. Let me try this one. And try this one.
Why are you looking this up? Why do we care?
It's important to know.
Very boring.
It's important to know. Well, listen, if we're going to start a business selling baby seal flesh.
This is like change the subject.
Okay, well, I want to know.
This is dumb.
Stop. Look, there's 600,000 elephant seals. That's not a lot of them. There are not that many elephant seals. So maybe we won't kill them. Let's see who else we can kill. What kind of seals are a lot of them? 150,000 of the leopard seals, crab eater seals, 3 million of them. That's what we need to kill. Okay, crab eater seals, there's plenty of them.
Only if they taste like crab.
They do. The baby ones only.
That's disgusting.
Seal veal tastes just like crab. Let's see. All this red pill versus blue pill and misogynist versus feminist shit that we see on TV and YouTube is only resulting in more division in society, which we don't need. I totally agree with you. I don't. It's like the nut jobs on either side are just silly. And like I remember watching some videos and critiquing some videos of this guy named Red Pill Coach who was basically all about like, you know, your job is to get the youngest, hottest, most obedient chick you can find, you know. And it's just like, you're such a scumbag. He's like my age, you know. And he's getting with like 22-year-olds and stuff. Eric, do you ever feel uncomfortable with the amount of power you have on this channel? Usually the idea of the shadow person stuff concept of on video. I mean, I don't.
He doesn't act like he has any.
I don't. I am cautious with who I make videos about.
She means by telling people he or she has been mistyped.
Right. I don't worry about that exactly. I am cautious with people's feelings more or less depending on how much I think they can take a little bit, you know. I'm aware of that. I could be maybe more aware of it. I don't feel that I have a lot of power in any regard. I feel like the audience has the power, and I get scolded when I'm mean, and I'm trying to do it right. You know, I'm trying to make people happy first and foremost. So
I think that if anybody goes into it not knowing you at all, they may look at it as a little bit harsh. But after, it takes a while to understand you.
Well, the other thing I think is,
like when we had what's his name, Dave Superpowers, and Shannon comments and stuff, and she was pulling that, what's it called, talking with famous people channel or something. I don't know. I haven't really. He's like, yeah, talking with famous people, Eric. Yeah. And then, so where was I going with that? What was it? It was trying to, something they said. I don't know.
I mean, I think your point was that she was pretending like she didn't know what the name of the channel was, or really she was just this. Oh, somebody did send us this thing from this weird place, you know, chatting with known persons or something.
So, and then Dave Superpower said, "Oh yeah, he's funny. His channel's really funny." But the thing is you almost have to understand you.
Well, I mean, I think
to begin with, like there's a goofy component to you that people need to like just get over first. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are very lighthearted.
Right. I don't mean to be. I don't want to hurt people's feelings or anything.
That most people will ever see you at your worst, except for me.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's pretty pathetic.
You mean my worst?
Yes, it is a sight for sore eyes.
Shanning with famed mouse pupils or something. Yeah. He says that for you. The directness is jarring sometimes. Well, it's kind of antagonizing. Yeah, it's kind of antagonizing, right? It's kind of true that she sees the absolute worst of me. It's also true that she's trying to bring it out. And I'm unsuccessful sometimes in stopping that from happening when that occurs, you know? So, no, I'm neither sleepy nor especially high, Afzal Ahmed. The weird thing about smoking as much weed as I do, and for as long as I have, is that it like right now I feel pleasantly high, actually, unusually so, but even so, I don't feel intoxicated, like incapacitated at all. I might be a little slower than I sometimes otherwise would be, but hey, Eric, a social democrat YouTuber I'm a fan of, a skeptical human, I think is probably an INTJ. Just a guess, though. I wonder if you could check out his channel for critique. I will try to remember that, a skeptical human, and check it out. Anna T says, it's odd because I'm pretty sensitive, but I've never found your type police videos off-putting or mean, just entertaining or informative. Well, thank you, Anna T. Did you know that DSP has videos back in like 2011? Then he had a huge hiatus. Didn't know. Don't really care, to be honest. Did Kim smoke weed off med?
No.
No, never. We do have this guy Juan Pablo who comes in periodically and pulls bongers with me. But so you may see me hand a bong over. It's Juan Pablo who's smoking it. Gracias, señor. Gracias for los bongripos.
Yes.
You're welcome, Juan Pablo.
Very, very introverted. Very, very, very introverted.
So, endocrine junkie says, I don't seem to get very high anymore. I need to take a week off or something. I took a few months off. Came back with like an LSD trip almost. Yeah, when you take a long time off and you smoke weed again, it's like strong like it once was, but it doesn't do that for very long, you know. If you're a regular smoker like me, it's makes a little bit of a head change, but not huge. Okay, that's probably wise, crazy lady in the basement to remind me later, just in case.
For what?
She wanted me to check out skeptical human.
Do remind him. And don't take it personal if he forgets, because you need to remind him daily.
Yeah, I sometimes get a little chain smoky. It depends what I'm doing. Like when I'm doing something like this, I'll get a little chain smoky for sure. I'll smoke one of these, and I'll smoke a couple bong rips, drink a little bit of water, light another cigarette.
I need to find you your fidget spinner again.
Really, yeah. I think it's SI seeking thing is why I do that. Is I'm always looking to connect with my physical body in some way that's satisfying, immediately satisfying. The fact that Delilah's not addicted in that way might suggest fifth slot SI.
You know what though? I think it's too soon to tell. I think that, you know, I think as people get older and manage their stuff, I just think 20 is too soon to tell.
Well, it wasn't too soon to tell for me. So, I mean, she's not my kind of addict, at least.
Yeah, no.
When you can't get it off and ditchweed is a pleasure, the good stuff just makes the mid-grade stuff look like ditchweed. Yeah, I've got pretty good weed right now. It's pretty stunning. I've got a few plants growing, too, but they're babies still. Which dual-type relationship is hardest to make work? INTJ, ESFP?
No. ISFJ, ENTP?
No, that's not true. I think that it's...
Are you kidding me? You think that there's two others that are harder?
I think INFP, ESTJ.
Oh, my goodness.
Cosmic Pentastar says he or she had a profound awakening in his or her late 20s.
About what?
About saying that ours is the most difficult.
Oh, no, I meant about the profound awakening. Oh, Matthew. I think you're funny, too.
Thank you, Matthew, by the way. INFP,
I like you all,
ESTJ, I think, is a rough one because there's...
I pull the whole channel together. Don't say that.
There's FI. That FI seeking and fulfilling thing doesn't make the INFP any more reasonable, really. And
I know, Hambone. I'm a handful.
And the ESTJ can be very bossy, and it's a very conflict-laden relationship, I think. I've not seen one that works, so I've seen a couple of them.
I know, Matthew. That's what I said. I know. See, that's the thing that I hate. I hate that, like, the reality of my relationship is that we do not make our relationship look very easy to the viewers, when in all actuality, like when you see us on a day-to-day, I guess people could say that we have this weird dynamic to us that wouldn't somebody say that we're bickery?
Yeah, I mean, we're bickery.
I don't like that. That bothers me.
Well, I mean, I think...
Like, I want to be that sweet couple on the street that you're like, oh my God, look how sweet they are. Like, they just have this adoring thing for each other. Like, I totally adore you, but you make me so mad sometimes. You think they're fake? But see, these are people that aren't even paying attention to people around them, and it's just
Who's fake?
We're talking about people who look, like they have couples that just have this connection, and there's no arguing, and
those people.
Yeah.
Can you do the arm wrestling challenge? I'm a new subscriber. I have no idea what the arm wrestling challenge is. If you took anyone's relationship a big part on life, the same thing would happen. But there's a certain truth to that as well. If you ask, if you find yourself talking about,
yeah, that was totally not my choice. That was something that I had to learn very quickly in this relationship, that my whole relationship would be exposed. Never in a million years would I have ever wanted that or even think that that was what was going to happen. And even when I got into the relationship, I did not realize to I don't even think I'd ever even had a YouTube account, much less paid attention to what he does or even realize to what extent. So this whole my whole life being out there for everybody is something that has been a process for me.
I gotta look at this thing if it's a real thing or if this guy just made it up. Arm wrestling challenge. Okay, well, we could do an arm wrestling challenge.
Me and you?
Yeah.
Why would you want to embarrass yourself?
I mean, you might win. That'd be okay if you won. I don't think you will. I don't know what the physics of it are. You have a shorter distance from your elbow to your hand. Does that make you have less leverage, or probably have less leverage? I would guess. Let's see. Would an ENFP ISTJ work better than an INFP ESTJ? I think so. I think an ENFP ISTJ would work great, in my opinion. I think that's one dual relationship that should work great. I've never seen it, but I would assume if you get an ISTJ with an ENFP, it would work really well.
Internet celebrity, is that what Eric is?
I'm an internet sub-celebrity. Relationships are meant to, for lack of a better word, trigger. Sorry, SWJ stole the word. Your innermost wounds in order to heal them. Your partner is meant to shine a light on them and vice versa. Huh. Well, that's a hopeful way of looking at it. INFJ and ENTJ who insists he's ENTJ, maybe. Who's that? Me and Cam?
Whoa, what?
Is Aaron saying that's me and Cam?
What?
We're an INFJ and ENTJ who insists he's an ENTP, maybe?
Am I really an INFJ?
No. Reminds me of when not gay Jared arm wrestled his female.
Thank you, F-Sol.
Co-host. He's skinny. She's a powerlifter. He still won. Would ISTJ, INFP be better than dual? Probably. Because ISTJ is a lot less bossy and a lot more serving. And so that's more in keeping with what INFP wants. Oh, C.S. Joseph reference. I see. That'd be funny. I wish somebody would come in and make those sort of claims about me. That'd be fun. I'm pretty skinny. What about ENFP, INFP relationships? I don't think that would work for very long. That's like an INTP, ENTP. The problem with it is, yes, you have a lot to talk about, and you talk the same way, and you get along fine and stuff. But at the end of the day, you just prioritize conflicting things, or the same things in conflicting ways. It's weird. ISTJs want to marry, and INFPs probably not too bound that strong. I mean, I think INFPs are hesitant, but I think that they do end up getting married. Do I play the trumpet? I used to, a long time ago, play a little bit of trumpet. I think being 6'1" and weighing 145 is skinny. I'm 6'4", 175. We worship and genocide for anarchy and feudalism. What? That doesn't make any sense. Those words of yours make no sense. In my experience, ENFPs and INFPs are better off as friends, sometimes great friends, but not in relationships. That would make sense. I mean, it's too much, too little TE, and too much FI. That's the bottom line. I'm big in marriage. You're big into marriage. What type are you married to, crazy lady? No, I'm not a freak show. I am tall. I'm taller than most people. Like when we went to this funeral the other day, it's easy for me to stand in the back and see over everybody's head. The whole crowd of people in front of us, no problem for me to see. I'm always, it was a Mexican funeral, so Mexicans are a little bit smaller than white people on average anyway. But yeah, I can see over everybody's head. I see just fine. Kim, meanwhile, was looking into somebody's back, you know. I always find that interesting because I forget that the people around me who are shorter can't see what I can see. And so sometimes I'll say things like, "Did you see that, man?" I'm looking at somebody's back, Eric. You know, it didn't happen in this instance, but that sort of thing's happened before. What's the
Talking about your second wife.
What's the biggest difference between ESFP and ESTP? Well, I mean, it's the disinterested or interested calculus. If they take a disinterested calculus and are looking to be objective across the board and are checking for consistency and checking themselves for consistency and open to being told, well, here, this is inconsistent with this thing, so you should prioritize. Yeah. If they're open to that, then they're an ESTP. And if they're participating in that actively, if they're doing an alternative thing where they're defending the position that they have and are attached to, then they're an ESFP. That's tall. 6'9".
That's freak show.
Have you ever driven a Toyota Prius? I've ridden in one. I've never driven one. Worrying. Okay, I've been listening in for a bit, trying to get a feel of what I came across. Is there something that I can find the meaning of these acronyms? Well, lost a little here. Oh, well, so for like a quick intro primer, cognitive functions are manners of attention, ways of paying attention to that people express as their means of being. And you can think of it like this. When you're watching a film and relating to it on an emotive level, then you're not going to concurrently be thinking about some analytical process at the same time that you're watching the film and relating to it emotionally. You might be in a room with the film on and thinking about your project instead in your head, in which case you're not really paying attention to the film, right? So the fact that we can only pay attention to really one thing at a time, and certain kinds of paying attention are different than others, is an evident fact about the world. And what we look at when we try to taxonomy the ways in which people pay attention is that we've got 4 different kind of functions. That's terrible, Godspeed. And so there are 2 kinds of action, 2 kinds of ways of doing action in the world, and it's predicated on the fact that there are 2 existence planes that we exist on, namely the physical experiential plane, which is a real-time plane, and then the meaning plane, which understands the experiences as meanings or events or representations, what you might call a physical and metaphysical plane. So taking action on a metaphysical plane or making meaning is called extroverted intuition, or NE. Making meaning on a physical plane, which is just doing shit like digging a hole or whatever, is called SE. Okay, and it's for extroverted sensing. It also refers to getting data in through your sensory data rather than from inside your brain. There's two different kinds of ways people know. One of them is through experience and memory of what happened to them, and the other is through the ideas they take away from those memories. That's SI and NI, respectively. And there's two ways that people judge. You can judge with an interested or a disinterested calculus. An interested calculus means what you want to be true, and disinterested calculus means what seems objectively true to third parties. Those are FI and TI, respectively, or introverted feeling and introverted thinking. And then lastly, there are two interface functions. And interface functions are ways in which you can interact in real time and across time with a given situation or person. So if I, like, this is a conversation right now in which I'm using some extroverted feeling, which is to say, trying to pay attention to being somewhat likable or not saying rude things or whatever, that kind of stuff. So basically that's what we're talking about. Are people have different configurations of those attentional manners. And like somebody like me, I am an ENTP because I begin with extroverted intuition followed by introverted thinking. So ideation with a disinterested calculus, and then extroverted feeling, which means I interface socially rather than through the logic of problems. And lastly, introverted sensing, which means I know from experience rather than through the meaning of things. Anyway, that's what it's kind of complicated, I guess, but that's basically the intro to it. I wonder if you are actually married and how you deal with spontaneity and freedom. Maybe it's me being too free spirits that likes till your comment makes me think. How many INFJs in here? You guys are so responsive compared to all other YouTube live streamers. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I don't like women or men. I can't get along with anybody I meet. Have you tried sheep? You are Scottish. What does NI do with memories? Well, it turns them into meanings, takeaways, examples of a pattern. So let's say you were nice to somebody in high school by giving them a bag of cookies when they felt bad. Then the meaning you'll take away from that is, I'm a person who in high school used SI connections to make SI people feel better in times of need. And you won't really remember the actual experience that caused you to make that generalization, but you'll self-identify as that person or that character rather than relating the experience. So, yeah. All right, so what Jordan Spike here has put is the answers to the ordinal test, and I'm going to just sort of quickly look at that, and I'll put the link to it up here too for anybody else who wants to put in their answers. Now keep in mind, this is a self-reporting test, so take the results with a grain of salt. They're your own self-reporting results about things. But unlike a lot of other self-reporting tests, this one is a little bit better because it forces you to rank things against each other. So you have to choose first through eighth place for everything. And that helps to make it a little bit more of a test that accounts for some of the ways in which people might game the test or cause it to be ineffective or whatever. So, okay, I'm going to share the link to it here in the chat for anybody else who wants to take the ordinals. They can. And you can see how Jordan put the answers there. That's for each of the four in order. And here is the link. Okay, so 65724183. 65724183. 65724183. 65724183. Put it up here. 65724183.
Are you sure that was right?
Yeah, I think so. All right. So what I'm seeing here is SITE, SE. So that suggests ISTJ. That's what your first answer suggests, is ISTJ. Now let me look at your second answer. Second answer is 754321168. And let me see what that says again. 7532168. So you're looking at, again, probably ISTJ or possibly INTJ on that one. On the third one, we're looking at that would suggest INTJ more than ISTJ. Yeah, it would sort of double suggest INTJ. So the third one double suggests INTJ. The fourth one, let's see, 342615857. Okay. That's interesting. Well, that one would suggest, let's see, your two. Oh, that would suggest, like, that one's out of whack a little bit because it would suggest that you're an SE Dom, which is not consistent with the other things. Say, if you were an SE Dom, this would suggest you were like potentially an STP or an SFP, like ESTP or ESFP. I guess it would suggest ESFP more than ESTP, but that one's out of ESFP is what it would suggest. So, okay, you've got two INTJs, an ESFP and an ISTJ. That suggests to me probably INTJ because ESFP is the same quadrant as INTJ. But it's not very decisive in this case. You've got, of the 4 test results, you got ISTJ, 2 INTJs, and 1 ESFP. So that's, if you guys are following those charts there, you can see that the way you could sort of piece together what I'm doing there. Basically, on the evil one, I'm looking to see the 8th function is usually close to the top there, number 1 or 2 or 3. And that'll tell you some things, you know. Part 1, it's FESI. That would suggest INFJ or ENFJ, the first one. Part 2 results suggest I would guess they would suggest more ENFJ than INFJ, the second one. The third one would suggest ENFJ. ENFJ would be the third one. With, yeah. That's weird though there. I would say ENFJ on that one. Then the fourth one, let's see, that suggests that would suggest like the opposite of ENFJ, which would be, wait, let's see what that one would be. Opposite of ENFJ would be, what's the TI first? Oh, ISTP. The last one would suggest ISTP. Again, I may have this interpretation on this last one wrong, since in both of these instances, 2 of them suggest ENFJ, you know, the equivalent, 2 of them suggest ENFJ and 1 suggests the dual. So I may have my interpretation of this fourth one wrong. But regardless, I would go ENFJ based on these test results. INFJ, a other possibility. So that's, I mean, again, these are self-reporting tests, and it depends on how honest or accurate you are with them. But I like the idea of it being an ordinal one, so that you can test things like what you find is most evil shouldn't be in the same spot as what you find is most good in general. I mean, yeah, if you self-report on a test wrong, then you self-report on them wrong. You know, it's like the results are showing you what if. I mean, it might be better to get somebody else to fill them out for you, right? To say, what do you think about me? You know, like, you take this for me. All right. Maybe I'm insecure about such commitment too early, thus I do too late. Like I wrote, you and Eric's comments make me think about that more. I think Enneagram is good for categorizing differences in temperament and behavior, confidence, and BTI. Well, I do too. And it's amazeballs because it gives you motivation why you are the way you are, scary and good. I cried when I found out I was a 4. Go figure. I cried when I found out I was an EHP. I was shocked by how much it explained and understood things to me. And what do SI's DOMs do with memories? I don't know. What do you do with memories, Kim?
I hold them very close.
You hold them close?
Mm-hmm. It makes me not feel the sting of the past.
You mean the sting of the past passing?
Yeah.
I see. You'd think it would make you feel it more to keep those things close. Interesting question. Well, I think we're about winding down here.
Yeah, 2 hours and 40 minutes.
That's a good length of a live stream. Thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate it. I enjoy doing these live streams a lot, and it's nice to have people show up and ask questions and stuff, and I appreciate it.
Help us with our relationship.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. All right, thanks everybody. Talk to you later.
Let them say bye.
They did.